Hey guys, it's Joey, and in this video, I'm going to be restoring this Game Boy Color that I bought from Japan. So this will be a painting tutorial on my methods of painting Game Boy shells, and this will also apply to everything else, like GameCube controller shells and anything else I do on the channel. Now, I'm not a painting expert, but over the last 3 years of painting Game Boys and GameCube controllers, I've adjusted and improved my methods of painting that work very well for this type of a project. And I've specialized in doing this kind of thing, and now I have it down to a method that works very well, and so I'd like to share that with you guys today. So as I go throughout this, I'm going to be restoring this Game Boy and showing you everything that's wrong with it and all the things I'm going to be replacing, but the main focus is going to be on the painting, so that will be the big chunk of this video. Thanks, and let's get right into it now. Now obviously this Game Boy has no screen, so I will need to replace that. And also, it has these scratch marks all across the screen lines and the shell, and this makes it unusable because it would be really hard to sand all those off. Now for all the parts I bought them from Handheld Legend. These are some buttons that I'll be using to replace, and some new membranes as well. These are two different screen lens options depending on how the color turns out. And here's the shell that I'll be painting because the original shell has some scratching and stuff that will cause problems. So I bought this new shell for $5 from Handheld Legend. Really awesome stuff. If you want to check them out, this is my code on the screen. I'm not sponsored, but I am an affiliate, and it really supports the channel if you buy stuff and use my link in the description. Alright, now let's restore this Game Boy. First, we're going to just have to disassemble it, so I'll use my iFixit screwdriver for that. This is a great toolkit. Anything with a tri-wing will work though. These battery terminals are really easy to just pop out, and make sure to remove that game cart shielding as well. I forgot to film that here, but that's an important part, really simple. Now these membranes are really dirty, so make sure to clean your membranes. I usually like to use dish soap and a toothbrush in a sink to clean all of my parts, but because I will be replacing everything, that won't be necessary here. Now I'm going to be using a new shell and screen lens, but if you're just replacing the screen lens after painting, you're just going to have to pop it out. Just like this. Be firm, but also be careful, and it's not too difficult. You kind of can do an ice cube tray method, but that's how I like to do it. Now I'll clean off these contacts with some isopropyl alcohol and as well as the speaker so that these will all work perfectly once I reassemble the Game Boy. Quite the dirty speaker. So, an important first step of painting that I've learned over the years is that you need to sand the protective finish off of your shell before you start painting it. And I don't know about these third-party shells, but I know with the OEM shells you have to sand it very thoroughly. So, you're going to use 600 grit sandpaper so that it doesn't damage the shell or misshape it, but just enough to get the finish off. And then 1500 grit to give it a really nice finish. And this will be good if you're trying to go for an ultra smooth finish on your paint. Now I'll just take the sandpaper and just rub it around the whole shell, making sure that you get that whole coating off. It should just have a little bit of dust come off of it, but not misshape the shell in any way. Now, we just need to rinse off the shell so that there will be no dust or fragments that get caught between the shell and the paint. Then you can just leave it to air dry so that it doesn't get any more lint or little pieces from trying to dry it off with a cloth or anything. Now on to painting. Here's my painting station, and I'm going to lay down this nice white piece of paper to show the progress as I go with the shell, and also just to keep paint off my table, but I guess that's kind of hopeless at this point anyway. Just turn on my new airbrush compressor I just got, and I keep it around 32 to 37 psi. It gives a nice pressure to be able to paint a nice smooth finish without too much paint coming out too fast. This is my primer I usually use, like in this video, and it gives a nice deep black, and it also helps the paint stick really well and have a long-lasting effect. But I am trying to paint this Game Boy pink, and so to paint pink over this black primer would be very difficult, and I would have to do lots of coats. So I'm going to experiment with painting directly to the controller with just my acrylic paints. This type of airbrushing is actually quite simple. You just need lots of practice to be able to do it. So I just add a few drops of paint, and here's what it looks like. You push down for air and pull back for paint, and obviously that was too much paint there. So I'll need to tighten up my restriction knob or just be more careful with how far back I'm pulling so that I don't get too much overspray. Now I'm going to mix some white with this red so that I can get a pink color because I'm going to be doing a Kirby themed Game Boy. So I think I've got the pink I want now, so I'm going to just start airbrushing and start light. That is the best way to go. Start light because you can always go back over, but getting globs and stuff like that can be a major issue. So nice light coats, just getting it all over, and make sure to get the sides and the back and everything like that, and before you know it, you have a really nice finish. So I didn't sand this back part because I'm not going to be painting the whole thing. I'm just going to be doing this special stencil that I cut out on my vinyl cutter. So I'll just press this vinyl sticker on here, and then with a little more pink, just go over really light. That was a little too much. And see, just lots of practice can get you to get better at this. And making sure I get all sides. And then once that is done being painted, we can actually just peel that off like this. And doesn't that look so good? Super fun to do. Stencils make painting really fun because you can get designs that you couldn't necessarily do by hand. Now this is me cleaning it out. I'm just spraying it into this special little pot I have, but using just a little bowl, glass bowl will work just as well. Use a spray bottle and just spray water into it and go max power to spray all the paint out. And just rinse it so that you don't get clogs or color mixing. Now I'm going to be doing the same stencil on the front shell too, but this time I'll be doing it white. Now that the airbrush is completely clean, I can do a new color, and I'll just spray it on just like this. Again, making sure to go light and get all the different sides and just have nice coverage. I love peeling stencils off. And I had a tiny bit of overspray there, but it's not super noticeable, and I think it turned out really good. I love these colors together. It gives a really nice, cute, pretty little Kirby color scheme, and it gives a nice little touch to it. Now for the clear coat, this will protect the whole shell and give it a nice, shiny, professional look. Alright, let's see how the shell turned out. I am super happy with how it turned out. I think that the finish turned out really good with it and the colors go really well together. And even though the pattern isn't perfect between the two shells, I think it really blends and gives a great effect. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Alright, now there's just a few more mods that I'm going to put in as we reassemble this Game Boy. The first one is front lighting, and I'm just going to rush through this because I have a video on my channel if you'd like to check it out. I'm going to have a card in the upper right hand corner and at the end of this video if you'd like to see a more in-depth guide of front lighting. Now this front light I bought was a no loca glue type front light, which means you don't have to use this special glue to fill this gap to make it have a really clear display. But I did it anyway, and it kind of gave different results than I was expecting, but I actually really like how it turned out for this Game Boy. It preserves that retro look and doesn't really wash out the screen, and while it's not super bright, it still will enhance your gameplay during the day and especially at night so that you can be able to see this screen in the dark. One last thing we're going to do is what I like to call a screw shine. What I'm going to do here is polish up the screws so that they don't have that rust and corrosion on the top of it. So you just take your screw and put it in a power drill and then sand it up against a 3000 grit sanding pad or just 3000 grit sandpaper. And then you can see the difference here. It just polishes up really nice, just helps the Game Boy to come out super clean and fresh without having any last signs of grime. Overall, I'm super happy with how this turned out. These dots down here were something new that I'd done something similar to before, but a new stencil I designed, and it turned out really well. The blend of those dots along the back here just goes really well, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And something a little different than what I was expecting was how dim the screen still is, because in the past of doing front lights, they've been very, very bright, but this one, it doesn't have a lot of reflection of the light that's coming off on the screen. But it actually creates an effect that I wasn't expecting, but really like, that when it's in normal lighting conditions, like in here, I mean, I can see this super well and it looks really, really good, just like original screen. But when it's super dark, you can still see it. And I think that's great for like night mode kind of things where you're trying to play it in pitch black, in the dark, like in the car or in your bedroom at night. And that makes it way easier on your eyes. And while, yeah, it's more dim, it really preserves the retro look and feel of it, which some people may not like, but I'm actually a big fan of this. I'll just give you one more good look at the whole thing. Insides. Tell me what you guys think about this paint job, and if you want to see more painting videos like this, or if there's something else you'd like to see on the channel. I'm back and I've got lots more new content coming soon, and this is just the start of all the new things I have for you guys to see. And again, check out Handheld Legend. They have amazing products that you can buy for your own modding purposes. They're great, they're my favorite. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for all your support. I'll see you in the next video.